All right, this video is for David Vanderstelt and anybody else who's interested in how I put sharpening choils into my blades. And before we get too far along, well, yes, I am wearing a Squidward shirt. When your youngest kid asks you to wear a Squidward shirt for the day, you wear it. Anyway, the reason I'm putting a sharpening choil in this blade is because I tried a different sharpening method than I normally use. Let's just say that mistakes were made and drastic measures were required to fix it. So had to remove quite a bit of material off of this blade. So now I need to redo the sharpening choil. And I figured I'd go ahead and do a video, give you a little bit of background as to how I do it. I have no idea how other people do it. I think that I've read where other people do it similar ways. Some people use a Dremel. I did use a Dremel on my last one, mainly because it needed to be larger, quite a bit larger. And I just thought it was going to be faster that way. When I did my Dremel, I just used an aggressive little drum sander bit for it. And that seemed to work pretty well. You go through them pretty quick on hardened steel, but it seemed to work pretty well, and it left a pretty decent finish on it when I was done. So for today, I'm going to be using my CRKT VEF rods, and it's a stepped diamond rod sharpening system for VEF serrations. They unfortunately are out of production, but you could use any diamond rod to do this. And these are equal, I think, to about 600 grit. I like these because it's slow, but that's kind of a good thing, in my opinion. It keeps more bad things from happening in a hurry. So I feel like I have a little more control, plus it leaves a little nicer finish when you're done. And on most of the ones that I've done, I try to use the smallest one that I have. You could go up to the next one. I don't know, it's personal preference, whatever you like. It's a pretty straightforward process. I clamp it in my wood vise on the edge of my sharpening bench, run a little bit of tape around the pivot just to keep all the gunk out, and then I use some water and just start scoring across the blade. So let me stop the video and I'll come up with a second one where it's zoomed in a little bit more and you can see the up close of what's going on. All right, so here's the close-up of what we're doing. I pulled the tape back just a little bit so you can see what's going on. And I don't know, it doesn't really need to be all the way out to the end of the ricasso anyway. What I do is I take the rod and basically just index it against the shoulder of the ricasso. And the big thing is to make sure that you're going straight across the blade. You know, you can't go that way, and you also have to keep it flat this way. It's not as important keeping it, I guess, perpendicular, parallel to the ground in the beginning, but at the end, you want to make sure that you have that, because you're going to have a flat shoulder in the bottom of the hole, and you want it to be even across there. But you know, as much as you can, keep it flat the whole time. So like I said, I kind of index it against the ricasso. You do have to step it out just a little bit to account for the diameter of the rod as you go down. You don't want to gouge as you go. Like if you went too far over, you may start to gouge into the ricasso a little bit. So you really don't want to do that. So you want to try to account for wherever this outside edge on this side is going to be at the end. You kind of want to center it over that point, or not center it, but put that edge to where the far left, or in your view here, the far right edge is going to line up with the ricasso. So anyway, that's about all there is to it. I hit it with a little water, both the rod and the blade, and just start slow. Check where you're at and make sure you're, heading in the right direction. And then you just got to put in the time, and it takes a little time. I like to rotate the rod as I go, just to keep wherever it's loaded up, to keep that fresh, or to keep a fresh side of the rod as you go, just so it cuts a little faster. Just keep adding a little bit of water a little bit at a time, and just make sure that you're watching it and seeing what you're doing. But it's not It's not rocket science. It's not too difficult. It basically takes care of itself as you go down. Anyway, I'll come back and give you a little bit more right at the end and show you how far down I go. But here's a little bit just to see approximately how quickly you can make some progress here. Oops, yeah. You don't want to do that with a diamond rod. You scratch your blade pretty quick. And I'm already making some progress here. And so it really doesn't take all that long. You can keep going, you know, as it gets thicker, it's going to take longer to make progress. And actually, I may not even need to do a second video. Basically, I just keep going until the rod ends up just below, I don't know, maybe another half of an edge bevel depth down the blade, well, in this case down or higher up onto the grind, basically just so I don't have to redo it all the time. That way I can get a few sharpenings out of it before you got to touch it up again. So anyway, I guess you don't want to go too deep because then it'll start catching stuff when you're cutting, but that's about all there is to it. Hope that helps and explains the process. It's not difficult. You could do it. Get some diamond rods and you'd have no trouble doing it. All right. Bye.